Hey everyone, welcome back to Manage the Wild. I'm your host, Nick Madsen. That's just a hair. I've got white hairs growing out my nose. If you are on YouTube, you're going to see it, but if you're not, don't worry about it. By the way, the podcast is on YouTube, so sometimes I'm talking about maps or different things I'm showing. You can see it on YouTube. Yeah. But today we're going to talk about the time crunch. It's real. Hunt recommendation numbers are coming up in April. This presents a challenge for wildlife biologists, wildlife managers, and all those who are involved in hunt recommendations. And the reason is hunting here in Utah, as well as other states, I don't know necessarily the time and the ending, but it's fairly similar. Here in Utah, August 1st, hunts start, whether it's depredation or whatnot. They start August 1st, and you have hunts all the way until January 31st. And then they have to have all their stuff done by the first part of April 9th. No, April 10th. They have to have their recommendations ready for April 10th because big game permit numbers come out, antler lists, CWMUs, and landowner association plans. All that comes out on April 10th. So there's not very much data because what the biologists and wildlife managers are waiting for is all the hunter harvest stuff to come in because it's going to take a long time because our last hunt ends January 31st. So now you are collecting all this different data to try to put together recommendations. So for deer here in Utah, the way they do it is buck-to-doe ratios. So they are going out and they are classifying animals, what they're seeing on the landscape. They're taking that and they're using current population estimates based upon their classification and whatever other methods of collection they are doing. But basically, it's going around and classifying deer. You get to a certain number of deer in a certain amount of time, put it into a model, and it tells you what your population is. So now you know whether you're below objective or at objective or over objective. Then you're going to take the data and the GPS collars and you're going to see where the deer are moving, as well as the body condition of those animals. So if it was a really rough winter like it was last year, you may want to reduce your hunts because you may not have a whole lot of animals that are going to make it through the spring, the summer, and into the fall. So if body conditions are really low and things are not doing great, and you're starting to have adult mortality events, then you're going to want to change that. Also, you're taking that hunter harvest data that's available, seeing how many bucks or bulls or whatever were harvested on the landscape, and you're putting that in. And then you're also looking at the habitat and the environment. Did we have a really wet year? Did we have a really dry year? Is there going to be drought? Is winter lasting? And you're taking all of this data and you're putting it together to make your recommendations. So the area that you're in has an objective of 19,000 and you're sitting at 15,000 animals, but your objective is 19. You're obviously not going to recommend any antlerless permits, or if you do, it's only to reduce the severity of depredation in the area because females are the way you grow a population. You need females to have more. So females are really what you're going to be focusing on. Also, if your buck-to-doe ratio is really low, then you're going to want to cut permits. If your buck-to-doe ratio is supposed to be between 18 and 20 and you're sitting at 25, you can obviously bring that buck-to-doe ratio down and you can increase the number of permits. If you're sitting at 16 and you want to bring it up, you're obviously going to cut permits. And so you just got to play with that data and see how it all comes out. Current population estimates are going to rise and fall. You try to do your surveys at the exact same time, get all your data in the exact same time, so you have this normal trend of, okay, we're always doing our classification these weeks or this month. And so your data always looks the same as far as when you're doing that. If your animals are migratory, that could change some of your classification and the way you monitor. But then body condition scores and your hunter harvest. If hunter harvest, all of a sudden you just had a banger year, it was a really good year, and hunter harvest exceeded 60, 70%, then that's going to pull a lot of animals off the landscape if your normal harvest is around 20%. So you're going to want to put in that data, see are your numbers going to change? And so you just got to play with the numbers. There's going to be 5, 6, 7 different models, and each one is going to give you different information on what you're looking at. So biologists are really crunched for time because they need buck-to-doe ratios, population estimates, data from the GPS collars, hunter harvest data, habitat, environmental conditions. Also, another one you got to add in there that's now popping up in a lot more states is disease data. CWD, if it's just below your unit as a biologist, you're going to be watching that because CWD is going to eventually make its way into what's that going to do to your population, what's that going to do to your objectives, and how you're going to manage those animals. So right now is the crunch time for biologists. They've got to start compiling all these numbers, having really long meetings, and bringing all that data and all the experts together to talk about their hunt recommendations on April 10th, starting then, so then they can be destroyed by the public saying they haven't done enough for the animals, because that's just the way it plays out. But they need the best data, the most up-to-date data possible. And so there's really this time crunch. So they're not just sitting around. All right, you guys, have a great day. Stay wild.